Hi, 0404. Today is Monday, April 6th, and I just wanted to go over this week's work with you. You should have already turned in your definition paragraph. The vast majority of you have. Congratulations. You're finally moving on to your last paper for this class. For this week, I am looking at your course schedule. Monday, April 6th, we need to review logical fallacies. It says that we're going to do a fallacy exercise, but that's difficult to do when we're not all together, so we're just going to get rid of that. It was just to test your skills. It didn't count for any points in the class, so it's not going to penalize you in any way to not do it. It also says that we'll be looking at Introduction to Documentation and creating in-text citations and works cited pages. I have attached to the email that I sent you with this video link a Building a Works Cited page handout and an in-text citation and quote sandwich handout. So we know from reviewing this in class a little bit together that a works cited page is a page that lists all the sources that you used in a paper, and the Building a Works Cited page has a sample works cited, Building a Works Cited page handout has a sample works cited page, and at the bottom it has footnotes, and those footnotes correspond to the little numbers next to each source. Each footnote tells you what type of source it is, and what the information in that source is: the author, the title of the article, the title of the journal, volume, issue, year, page numbers, things like that. So we have 4 common types. We have an article in a scholarly journal, a page on a website, an entire website, and a book. Those aren't the only types of sources. They're just the ones you're probably going to be using most frequently. On the back of that same handout, there are some other notes on MLA Works Cited pages. Make sure that your sources are in alphabetical order by the first letter in the source. Remember that big things like books and movies go in italics. Journal titles also go in italics. Small things like poems or articles within a journal would go in quotation marks. You need to make sure you use a hanging indent on all your sources. There's information in this handout to walk you through that in Microsoft Word, but it is very similar in Google Docs. If you're having any issues with that, let me know and I can help you out. It also reminds you how to set your spacing properly for MLA by going to the paragraph menu in Word. And then for all other questions, again, just contact me. You also have another handout. It's the in-text citations handout. When we cite a source, we have to do the entire citation on our works cited page, but we also have to give in-text citations anytime, not only when we directly quote from a source, but also when we summarize or paraphrase from a source. We always have to include an in-text citation at the end of our summary or our paraphrasing. So in the in-text citations and quote sandwich handout, you have some frequently asked questions about in-text citations. What do I have to cite? Do I only have to cite if I quote word for word, which we already know is not true. You do have to cite when you summarize and paraphrase as well. What should I cite? What if I can't find parts of the information? All of those questions are answered there for you. And then you have some in-text citation examples as well, a summary, a paraphrase, and a direct quotation to kind of look at and see how the author uses the author's last name and the page number in their citation. And then on the back, you have the quote sandwich. The quote sandwich is the tried and true way to integrate a source quote or a piece of source information, whether it's a quote or summarizing or paraphrasing, into your own work. So the quote sandwich starts out with an introduction. You have to let us know what the title of the article is or who wrote it, where it came from. Then you can quote from it or paraphrase it or summarize it. And then the last part of the sandwich, the other piece of the bread that holds the sandwich together, is your analysis. Sometimes that analysis is to prove a point. Other times that analysis is simply to explain the source to the reader. In this case, for our purposes, since we're arguing, we do want to show the reader how that source quote backs up our argument. So that's how we're going to utilize the quote sandwich, because if we don't, we're in danger of committing what's called a floating quotation, where the quote's given no context, and so the reader doesn't really know what to do with it or where it came from, and so they can't rely on it. It doesn't make them trust us more, like it should when we're producing evidence like this. So that handout walks you through the quote sandwich. So you have those two handouts attached to the email that I sent you with this video link. If you're not using the suggested topics and articles that I gave you on Blackboard under content, that's titled, if you'll remember, Paper 7 Topic and Source Choices. If you're not using that, if you're doing a different topic and you have to do independent research, make sure that you review the Finding, Documenting, and Integrating Sources presentation, which is also under content on Blackboard. Remember, that walks you through how to use the library databases to find reliable sources. You can also use procon.org. That is a relatively reliable source, if for nothing else than topic ideas. And you will need to email me or text me or set up a WebEx meeting to discuss and or declare your topic for this argumentative paper by the end of this week. I would like it by Wednesday. If it doesn't happen until Thursday or Friday, that's okay too. Just make sure you get it to me as soon as you can. I'm really excited to get started on this with you guys. Have a great day.